Well. Season 2, show 2, certified unscripted. Hello, everybody. I'm Vera Jones, and welcome back to another night of women's hoops. What else would you do on a Tuesday night? We're always happy to be here. Usually running like crazy. You got Penny Toller out there in LA fighting traffic. You got me trying to decide which pair of pajama pants I want to wear when I do this broadcast. God, I love Zoom. I love this whole thing, right? All of the people that are watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, we can't tell you enough how much we really do appreciate your support. We've been trying to do a lot of really, really positive things in light of all things women's hoops, women's sports in general, and then the larger nature of sports in general. So we touch on all of those topics, and we do it with the power panel. We always kick it off first. I always bring in anybody that has anything to do with money. Her name is Penny. It ain't much money, but it's money. So we got to talk to the GM. Penny Toller, 23 years with Los Angeles, almost said the Lakers. Shame on me. The Los Angeles Sparks, player, coach, GM, getting it done in so many different ways. Penny, welcome back for season 2, show 2. How are you?
I am great, and it's not enough money, but you know what they say, a penny for your thought. That's what they say.
Right. Or give me your 2 cents, right? A lot of people are rich because they're sharing their 2 cents, and we do the same thing in this show. Another 2 center is the mighty Ruthie Bolton, as you know, Olympian and world-class singer and speaker and can do more burpees in a minute than the average, Olympian.
Don't forget about the biceps.
With the biceps. That's right. The only one left post 50 that actually has guns. I got it if I turn it around like the way you push it up, like bam, I get it.
Oh, yours, girl. Oh, yours, girl. I see you.
Ruthie, welcome to the show. So, and last but not least, we gotta bring in, when we start talking about money, well, we do, this is the person that put it all together. Rita Haywood.
What's going on, ladies?
Our general manager. So when we left off last week, we were talking about the draft, and we never got a chance to actually talk about not only were people drafted, but positions were changed at the top. We've got some coaching changes going on. Seattle had Noelle Quinn, with the assistants Pokey Chapman and Ebony Hoffman, both former WNBA folks, have kind of been around the bend a little bit. I think we did mention them, but Atlanta picked up Tanisha Wright out of Charlotte as a head coach. Her assistants, Christy Sides, Paul Goris, and Barbara Turner. Las Vegas picked up Becky Hammond, and they paid a whole lot of money to get her. We're talking $1 million contract. Woo-wee! Wish I was a WNBA coach and all of that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Some folks might not know what's going on the coaching world. Penny, you live this stuff. What's going on?
Well, there's a lot of changes, and I think there are a lot of great changes. Like you said, Noelle Quinn, I thought last year did an awesome job. Unfortunately, she had the injury to Brianna Stewart, and, Seattle kind of got knocked out. But then you got Atlanta with Tanisha Wright. I tell you what, it's nice to see some WNBA players get jobs. First, it was just only Vicky, down in Dallas. So you got Tanisha. She came. She was on. It seemed like if you sit on that Vegas bench, you get a job. You got Tanisha moved on to Vegas. And then you got Vanessa Nygaard that's in Phoenix. Both of them came off a Vegas bench, along with Bill moving up in the front office. Sandy Brondello, what was it, a week out of Phoenix and went right into New York. And I know she's happy because her assistant coach is her husband. So now they don't have to kids.
Or not.
Well, I wonder how that went last year because Chicago beat them in the finals. So I figured I figured somebody was eating like this, like trying to eat.
I know.
Not to celebrate too much, And then, you got Becky Hammond. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a lot of discussion about did she deserve the money or not? And I say, yes, she did. Because people have to understand you pay your dues in different ways, Becky's done worked hard, been a player in this league, done fought from the bottom. And the reason I like I'm happy that she got the money because it's time for these WNBA coaches to get paid. And now the ones done got paid, now it's going to continue to rise. And the coaches deserve a raise just like the players do. So I was like super happy and super pumped that she came back to her roots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice. She
definitely.
got a lot of criticism. The Becky Hammond actually got a lot of criticism when she first left and went to the men. It was a mess, but anyway, all is good. All is good. It's good to see her getting paid.
Ruthie?
I know, I agree. You know, I think that changing the narrative, it's like a big surprise. Oh my goodness, Becky Hammond making, close to $1 million. That should be something like, oh yeah, $1 million. We got another coach.
That should be the norm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
It should be the norm.
creating that, because sometimes some of the guys, I've heard guys say, what they get paid in WNBA? And I'm like, that's a joke. People that, but I think that, obviously we're making progress. So to me, it's a great thing. And we got players saying why they, but Becca, she's paid. I'm like, she's ball, she's coached. And to me, her being courageous, I'm like, obviously, she play for the, when the Russian team back in the day, she got tenacity, she got grit. She be like, hey, okay, watch me work. So I admire her for that, and she gonna help change the norm of women's coaching in WNBA.
Yeah, I love the fact that we just have more head coaches, more women head coaches. We have more women, period, across the board. And I think that it's great having former players that really understand the process. They understand what's going to happen in training camp. They're involved from A to Z. They've been there. They've done it. So it can only be an upswing for everything involving the WNBA, especially the teams that have been lucky to sign these great coaches. So definitely a plus.
It's good. And then just as a sidebar, of course, Dawn Staley, I don't think we can have a show without at least saying Queen Dawn's name at least once.
Yes.
But her coming in with that $27 million multi-year contract.
Was it 27?
24.
Yeah, wasn't it 27 million? I'm pretty sure it was 27
hey,
million.
maybe. Hey,
Well, add up the
Like
bonuses.
The
Might get
the
the
bonus
27.
is probably about 27 by the time what she did and how she did it. Wow.
Right. I think all things collected, all things Dawn. That's where that net worth is kind of tipping now. So
Absolutely.
I do.
Yeah, so that's kind of good.
One thing to say, going out of here. If anybody in Minnesota, I expect you guys to redo Cheryl's contract and give her $1 million now. Cheryl Reeves. I think she done paid her dues.
Hey, for sure. Hey, exactly.
She done paid her dues. I look forward to watching her go and win an Olympic title with her being the Olympic coach. And it's great to be a woman these days, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, Rita, I'm going to make space now. I'm going to say thank you very much, boss. We're going to see you a little bit, but we didn't get a chance to promote we got a nice little surprise. We have a special guest coming in. Let me tell you about her. Shall I? I shall. She was born in the Bronx, New York, raised in South Carolina. Then she went on to become a legend at Furman University. Out of all the places she could have gone, Duke University, her dream job, North Carolina, Chapel Hill. We'll ask her why she chose Furman. Was not a bad move for her, as, like I said, she became a legend, retired her jersey there. Anybody that's big on basketball should be starting to figure out who I'm talking about. Number 34 hangs from the rafters there. She was Southern Conference Freshman of the Year, multiple MVP awards, Southern Conference Player of the Year. I said that part. I'm repeating myself because I'm post 50. Rushia's collegiate years led to a 10-year professional career overseas where she spanned 5 countries: Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Korea. 7 years in the WNBA, 6 of them, this is where it really should give it away, and Cleveland, because I was back broadcasting games back then, and 1 year at Charlotte when there actually was a Charlotte team. She's currently working to make a difference in the lives of girls and women through sport and basketball. She is the founder and president of the WPBA Alumnae, the only organization structured to assist women who have played professionally in the WNBA or in Europe as they transition into mainstream society. She's also the director, as if I haven't said enough, director of public relations for Young Black Entrepreneur Magazine, which is an educational platform for those with entrepreneur aspirations. All of that said, please welcome to the set, Rushia Brown.
Yay! Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about these conversations, and that bio was too much. I hate that.
No, it wasn't.
Leave out one thing though.
What thing?
Did forget one thing.
What I forget?
Ruth is probably our latest guest that could probably stick with Ruthie doing some burpees. Rush is always in shape. Rush is always in shape. I don't know. Rush is always in shape.
Watch out now, Rush. What you got, Rush?
No, I don't want no parts of Mighty Ruthie. No parts of Mighty Ruthie.
Me and Rush were teammates in Italy, huh, Ruth?
We played together in Italy, and just here at the Final Four, we were in this shoot-around competition together. Ruthie won, of course.
Ruthie
won.
You know, I just had to break them off. I had to break them off a little something.
Okay.
It's always a great opportunity, though, to get together with the sisterhood.
The legend lives on.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Undeniable.
Okay. Well, Rushia, thank you so much for coming to the program. Talk to us a little bit about this WPBA, what you're doing now. Actually, if we could, just to keep the transition flowing, your thoughts. You were with the ACES organization for a little bit. Your thoughts on the coaching changes and kind of the state of WNBA overall as you see it.
You know, just having come in with Ruthie and Penny, being a part of that first season, like there's been so much growth and development. And I'm excited for all the changes that are taking place. I just feel like the skill level, the athleticism of the women is taking the game to a new level. But I also feel like changes are being made financially that are putting the women as first tier athletes. And I think that really makes a difference. And I heard you guys talking earlier about the contracts and how much money is being made. And I'm in complete agreement. It should be the norm. You know, I did spend some time with the Aces when they relocated from San Antonio to Las Vegas. So I was here 18 and 19, and then 20, I moved on. But the commitment, starting from Bill, you know, the ownership was MGM, and Bill Lambier was, of course, the top. He wanted to treat the women like the men were treated. Good. And he did a lot of things. And Penny actually made a note, you know, like if you sit on this bench, you clearly get a job. That's because Bill pushes his players and his coaches, and he's committed to them both on and off the court. So it really makes a difference. And have Mark Davis come in. Yeah, he got the money, and he's going to hold other teams accountable of treating these players the way that they should be. So I'm excited to watch this growth and development. I'm a huge fan of the league, period. So it doesn't matter what team I work for or what players are my friends. I cheer for everybody. I want everybody to win because that just grows the league.
One of the things that gets overlooked, you hear about it a lot in men's hoops. A lot of NBA players, they spend their whole career and then they leave and then they're broke, you know, just a few years down the line. They're not always transitioning well as sometimes that transition from college sports into professional sports. You are now bringing some light and attention to what women need in sport through what you do with the WPBA. Can you tell us a little WPBA? Can you tell us a little more about that?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's funny because as you mentioned how some of the guys end up being broke, you know, we make even less money. So the likelihood of us being broke, we're even closer to that reality. And I'll share that I guess I was probably 3 or 4 years out of the league, and there was a celebrity game with like Kim, Teaspoon, Lynette Woodard, and, you know, a couple of other WNBA players. We played in a celebrity game, and one of my sisterhood, she had been a 2-time WNBA champion. I mean, all-star. She'd won 1 championship, played in the league like 7 or 8 years. When we get down there, we find out she's homeless. And we are all blown away. You know, initially, all we did was like, oh, give her some money. But that was just a Band-Aid. And I'm like, so what can we do to assist? Because not everybody has the support system to help with that transition. You know, like I got a family of entrepreneurial minds. So even though I went through my stuff, they were able to help me get on track. But clearly this young lady had not. So I contacted the league and I was like, listen, we have a sister that's in trouble. What can we do to help her? Their focus was primarily on the women that are currently playing. So I figured, you know, because the WNBA is under the NBA, then we should be able to fall under the NBRPA. And so I approached them, and unfortunately their board said that we would not be allowed to gain from any resource or benefits that the men had. But the executive director at the time understood the importance of us having some type of organization to assist. And he helped me, Charles Smith, he helped me to form the WPBA. And it really was a matter of me just donating my time and figuring out resources to help the women when they needed something, because it wasn't any money in it. It was me, because I talk to everybody. You can ask anybody who knows me. I'm not afraid to talk to people and figure out what I could do to serve them and how potentially they could, maybe serve me. So I would just be the one who's like, oh, what jobs? Okay. I know some people who are looking for jobs, financial literacy. I know some people who need that. So I just wanted to be in a position to assist my sisterhood, and it works out because we just do for one another. And we are currently available and allowed to be a part of the NBRPA, but the women still reach out to me because they know that it has been a love for me just to serve. And they know that whatever I can do to help, that I'll be there. So the WPBA has been that, and we're like 10 years in.
Wow. And that's what awesome. I'm sorry, Vera. I just wanted to make sure I got this in with Ruthie. This is what I always admire about you, Ruthie. I mean, Rushia, from afar. I always admire it because, like you said, it wasn't any money in it, but I always would see you hustling for people and hustling for everybody. And you wanted it fair for everybody, and I watched that and I was like, I think the league, we got a lot of things right, but we're missing the boat a little bit because there should be a department and a job for you at the league office to make sure that these resources are there. Because it's great that you're fighting for resources for the players now, but there wouldn't be no now without the players from the past. You know what I'm saying? So there has to be some homage paid to the players of the past. And this is why I think they need to create that position, just like they created the third coach with a former WNBA player. They need to create that position because it's nice when you come out and somebody can focus on, hey, here are the jobs, this is where they at. They can go there. And it makes a difference coming in the door with the WNBA behind you, with the NBA, and not just trying to knock on every door. And I probably never told you, but you see, I always like all your stuff because I just love you. I said I just love people because I see how you serve, and everybody don't come with that grace, and you do. You know what I'm saying? And that's I just want to say I take my hat off to you in the league. If anybody from the league listening, you need that position because, like I say, there is no now without that then. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they need to do, and they need to make that a paid position.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off what Penny said. I take my hairband off, well, not too long, but for you, Rush. And the thing about it is that, that's why anytime, she's had something, if I can be there, I'm gonna be there. And I've tried to because I know it's a tough, it hasn't always been easy, and it's still not easy when you stand the gap and you believe in something and you be an advocate for a lot of women that, may not have the voice or may not have the know-how. So that I applaud you for. And just like the game, hey, you got full court press on them because, hey, it ain't the mentality that we're going to sit back in a zone and hope you miss and then go, we put in the full court press. And that's what I see you doing because, listen, we're down by 10 as women and we got to get ahead. So I appreciate what you do and how you continue to stand the gap and how you just really keep everybody in the know. So, like I said, keep up the good work, and we definitely are pulling for you.
Thank you.
We're pulling for us.
I appreciate you, ladies.
You believe in us, So
we would be lost without. And like I said, I know she probably gonna be humble, but we would be lost. I'm telling you, veteran players, and I seen it. My last year when I was a GM and they had the All-Star game that was down in Vegas. She worked for Vegas at that time, and she could have just went on about her business. She was already in. I saw this girl. I mean, she was running around, running left and right. You got your tickets. You got this. You got this. Oh, no, we getting in here. We not paying. We getting in here, making sure that the players got they due. And I'm going to tell you, without you being you, Rushia, in the way you speak up, because there is nobody else that anybody's going to reach out to because you've been the symbol for it. And this is why the league, they got, okay, you just got an infusion of money, make this position, and the league needs to hire Rushia straight up.
Yeah, look, and Penny, and I'll share with you guys, because I don't know if y'all know, but before I went to the Aces, I spent some time in New York at the league office, and I wrote a proposal saying that there needed to be a position. Of course, this was like 2016, 17. And I was saying there needs to be a position for that transition, and nothing happened. But here in the last year, they created a position. So Taj McWilliam Franklin is now in that position. It wasn't something I was offered, nor did I want, because I don't want to live in New York. But they finally did something. So it just takes time. And like Ruthie said, I'm not afraid to keep pushing. They probably get sick of me because I'd be like, hey, can we do this? Hey, like half of the time it's like, please, Rushia. But, you have not because you ask not. So I definitely am okay with, being the one in the front, not being afraid to ask. Because like you say, Pitty, we built this game. right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're the ones who made all the sacrifices on the front end. So all the benefits that are being reaped now, of course we want the young ladies and the coaches to have it. This don't forget where you came from. And I just feel like it's a disservice when the former players are not recognized.
And this is what's missing. And this is what's missing in this league. And you know this, Rushia, like players are not educated on the league. You know, these college players, another reason it's not so much their game don't get them a chance. They don't even know what they're about to come up against. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, okay, you're seeing a lot of WNBA players become coaches. I know they're gonna do well because they know the product. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is why you need a liaison to reach down in the NCAA and say what you want about Renee Brown, but Renee Brown kept her hand in the NCAA to make sure that connection was there. And it's kind of been lost in the sauce a little bit. You know, that connection where that's another avenue that this position could serve to reach back down in there and make sure the NCAA is engaged, because I'm going to tell you right now, college coaches down there, you got a right to prepare these girls for this level, you know, and not just get your check. And I'm not talking about everybody as a whole, but not you just get paid. You have a right that when you know a player is playing the 4, you're not going to be a 4 pit boo. You ain't tall enough.
Prepare her.
A jump shot and not just let you keep doing what you're doing, because then they're going to be cut. You know, you go on, you have a job, the player's out of the league. And what happens even if you get cut? You know, I mean, that was the thing I missed too about Nike. Remember when we first started, Ruthie and Rushia, you know this, when Nike had somebody always in the team environment, they need to put that back in there.
Like Ray?
Yeah, like Ray Vaughn. No, they had one at the team level. They always had the normal. They had one at the team level that was in. Those could go to WNBA former players that know the product. That hopefully Nike, Adidas, or whoever wants to put up, or the WNBA, put that person in play, because it's nothing like take a perfect example. Take Indiana with all those young players who could really get out in the community and say what it is, what it was and what it should be.
Very valid point.
That would know, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
No, you're right.
We got a lot of comments. A lot of people want the scoop on you, Rushia. The first one comes from Moni. She wants to know who'd you look up to in high school.
Moni, darling, I'm from the old school, and there was not much women's basketball on TV. We only had the NBA, because think about it, we played in the its first years, so there was no WNBA. So for me, my dad was a Lakers fan, so I was a Lakers fan just by default. And you know, but as far as other women that I looked up to, I didn't see any, because I lived on the East Coast. Of course, that's when USC was big. I didn't see that on my TV, you know, so there was not that exposure of the women's game at that time. So I literally had to just pattern my game after what I saw on TV, and that was the men. Knowing I would never jump like Michael or dunk like Barkley or any of those things, but just trying to figure out my game myself based on what my potential and my talents were.
I got a question for someone in the audience, even though they're bringing them in, because what people don't know, Rushia played on the Cleveland Rockers, which was one of their original teams.
Right.
And that team was freaking loaded, okay?
Yes.
Everybody out there always asking us questions. Now, who played with Rushia? Can you name me 3 players that played with Rushia when she was in Cleveland? Anybody
Not you, Ruthie. I saw you closing your mouth, Ruthie. You can't say nothing.
Not you, Ruthie. Anybody on this call? Can you name 3 players?
Let's see. If we, hold on. Hold on. Bam! You played with Janice Lawrence, Lynette Woodard, and Cleveland.
Very good. Those are my 2 vets right there.
WNBA fans didn't see the real Janice and Lynette, but was still good players at that point. Talk about those 2 players. How did LaTanya do?
LaTanya, she brought the 2 original vets out, because Janice and Lynette were the ones who were the foundation of that Cleveland Rockers team. And that first year, it was amazing, because when I saw Lynette Woodard, like, I fangirl for a second. And I used to, and it's funny because I had played overseas for 3 years, and I had my car, and Lynette had a regular car, and I'd be like, Lynette, you want to drive my car? You want to go somewhere? You need to go to the store? Like, I love, and to this day, I still love her. She has such a kind and gentle spirit, but she taught me about being a professional. You know, like when things are not going right with the team or with your coach, how you maintain your focus on yourself and getting better. So she was one of the most amazing. And to this day, I still keep touch with her because basketball is about relationships, and you build a sisterhood that doesn't just end when you stop playing together. Sure. Like I see Ruthie and Penny all the time, and it's like we were just on the court somewhere, even though these knees won't let me be great. But the sisterhood is what matters. And even Janice Lawrence Braxton, she's still in Cleveland. We're planning a Cleveland Rockers reunion coming up next year because once again, the team wasn't recognized. You know by the league. Yeah. So we're gonna do it ourselves.
Real quick. Well, Lynette Woodard, you mentioned about her, like obviously she is something else. And we was at the Final Four, I think last year, and she yelled all across, "Ruthie, take me to church. Ruthie, take me to church." And I was like, this girl, I was like, that's Lynette. But anyway, yeah, you're right. It's about relationships. Every time I see her, it's like give her one of the tightest hug. But yeah, it's about relationships. And like I said, that by you continue to recognize that and just it's beautiful. So that to me, that is what's significant about women's sport, is that the relationships and that sisterhood.
Mm-hmm. And Rushia, and those people were great, and I got a chance to play against them overseas. But even tell them about the grasshopper, Michelle Edwards, Isabella Fizikowski. You know what I'm saying? All these, I mean, you guys were great.
Yeah, and it was just such a great mixture of talent. Like you talked about Lake Jones, Lake the Shake from Alabama. Lake could jump out of the gym. I spoke with, and I just spoke to Lake. Like I stay in touch with these people, not just because I love organizing and doing stuff for the retired players, but I genuinely have relationships with these people. And so I could remember when like Susie McConnell-Serio hit a shot and Lake jumped on her, and Susie was, like just different cultures. Susie's looking at her like, what's happening? And Lake is all hype, like just that energy and the things that we experienced as a team. I was at the Final Four in the suite with Ray Pond and Michelle Edwards. So spending time, like we still have these relationships. Isabel Fizikowski, I still stay in touch with her.
Holy smokes, there's a name from the past.
Yeah, she's over the women's, I think she's over the French basketball league.
I jacked that name up so many times broadcasting for ESPN.
No, Isabel, yeah. Fizikowski.
Scored again.
And then Ava Nemkova looks like she hasn't aged a day. She just looks, she's in great shape. Like it's just great to be able to have these relationships and be able to go back and talk about what happened back then. Like those relationships, the times, the funny stories in Utah at dinner for 4 hours because you ain't got nothing to do but eat and drink wine. Like it's just the quality relationships have always been really important to me. So I always have a great time, Penny, whenever we get together. So when we have this Cleveland Rockers reunion next year, it's going to be great. Then the Final Four in 2 years is in Cleveland again. So that'll be another opportunity to highlight the Rockers.
Couple of quick questions. Piggybacking that, how was Dan Hughes? And everybody that comes on the show must give their top 5, their all-time top 5. And you will have to be put on the hot seat to do it. But first, Dan Hughes.
Dan Hughes, and I saw him at Final Four also. Dan Hughes was a super competitive coach, gave me an opportunity to develop my game more. Because Penny, like you were saying, these kids playing the 4 in college, not going to play the 4 in this league. But he challenged me to do more because I knew what my skill set was. You weren't going to catch me. I was going to outrun you or try and jump over you. So whatever the case was, I knew what it was. But he challenged me to want to do and be better. And so he was an amazing family man. He was just a quality person and coach. So whenever I see him, he always asks about my mom, my daughter, and I too about his family. And I just think, again, like that family spirit, even though he could fuss you out with the best of them, but it's the game. And when you love this game, you understand that it's tough love that comes with it as well.
Top 5, putting you on a hot seat.
I can't do that. I need like 15.
Okay, all right.
I mean, just think about it, because the league, we're at the point now where we've been around for 25 seasons, going into the 27 or 26? Going into the 26 season. And if you have 100 per year, that's 2,500. I mean, that's really hard. I do know, like my first year going in, I was a fan of so many players just because we were about to do something that had never been done before. And you stepped on the court with these women every night competing, not just to win, but to get a win for the brand, for the W. And you want to do well because you want to see the women around you do well. So I was fans of, I was a fan of everybody. Just imagine walking, and I ain't gonna answer your question in case you wanted to know.
Okay,
imagine going. I remember my first time walking into Madison Square Garden. And this is the mecca of basketball. And this is the experience that I got to have with these women. And, you know, it's Teaspoon. You know, you got Big Kim out there, you know, like, so Vicky Johnson. And then along the sidelines, like what we've done, it can't even be replicated because it was the first time. And so it's just really hard for me to take people. Of course, you got Cheryl Swoops and Tina and Cynthia. But I mean, I played with some amazing women and against, you know, like, so it's so hard to, it's too hard to pick. And I hate comparing against generations too, because the game is different. The play is different. I'm cheering for the league. I'm always, I would never choose. I'm like that with the NBA too. So I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you don't get to skip this one then.
Okay.
Tina Boo wants to know who in your career then were the 2 or 3 hardest players for you personally to guard.
Now this one I could do. This easy.
Okay.
Tina Thompson and Lisa Leslie.
Tina Thompson and Lisa Leslie.
And ironically enough, and it's weird, but I always had my best games against them. I think because I was focused and I was like, I'm not about to be on your highlight reel, even though nobody escapes it. Nobody escapes it.
Yeah.
But, you know, my goal was always to make sure I was at least, you know, competing and pushing them to do something different other than what they had wanted to. And I share this story about Lisa, how that first year, you know, Hai Shang was on y'all's team. And so that joker was huge. So she would guard me when y'all were on defense, but I would have to guard Lisa. And Janice guarded Hai Shang. So she was too slow. So I'd go around her, I score. I'd go around her and I scored. The third time Lisa threw that joint in the stands and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna pass next time. You know, but it's just that level of competition just made it so much fun. And just being creative. I mean, like when you play against players like that, it really takes you to the next level and makes you have to be strategic. Because Tina gonna shoot the 3, she gonna shoot that pull-up, she gonna hit it off the glass, she gonna get to the basket and shoot you that bow. Like you just have to be on your all-around game. But those two, for sure, were my greatest challenges.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. I'm sorry. Did you have something, Ruthie?
No, I said that great. Yeah, you were definitely like a reindeer. Like you run. I don't know if I ever asked you. Do you run track?
I did run track in high school. I did the sprints, the 100, the 200, the 400, and
that says a lot. That explains a lot.
Yeah, I can tell about the reindeer. You walk on your toes.
I had a funny story about that too, because I remember not about Rushia, but Jackie Joyner up there. I remember when I was in college and Long Beach was playing UCLA, and I got a steal. You know how you think you open? And then all of a sudden I went to make the layup. This girl was up there. You know, I sent my later. I was like, "Who is that?" They were putting on who that is. That's Jackie Joyner. And I was like, "Oh, I see," because she caught me pretty quick. But Rushia, you always been super, super athletic. That's why I was like, when you came on, I said, "Oh, here's some burpee." I mean, you're Michelle Obama arms, y'all.
Ruthie ain't as big as Ruthie.
You got a little one though.
I'm skinny.
Yeah.
I got
you got one. Yeah. Ruthie like this. Yeah, the big one.
Hey, you know something else too, Rushia? I'm gonna tell you something, Ruthie. Not Rushia. Got names that That's when you know you get when you start calling everybody everything else. It's funny because you very adaptive. Because you know what? One day I'm in Vegas one week and I'm watching you do your community relations. And then don't sleep up there. Be careful, because you may be trying to take your job because you be doing color commentating too.
Right.
Well,
my job's gone.
Ready. She's one person that nobody can say you ain't got to get ready, because Rushia stay ready. Don't you?
She stay ready. Yeah.
And I'll share that my ability to adapt and be diverse stems from the fact that when the league started, like I had gone to Furman. I had committed to North Carolina, but I was a small name.
Why
because
Furman?
I was close to home and my dad had passed away and I was just trying to stay close to home. I literally committed to North Carolina and rescinded my commitment.
Oh, wow.
But I just wanted to stay close to my family. I still was grieving and I didn't want to leave home.
Okay.
I was poor. I wasn't going to have no car. I wasn't going to be able to get home to my mama. I was like, this is an hour and a half away from home. I'm going close to home.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I went to a small school. I wasn't a big basketball name, but lucky for me, I had played overseas for 3 years. So I at least got some eyes on me, but I still wasn't drafted. I still wasn't invited to camp as a free agent. You know, that first year they let people walk on. I was a practice player. And then I made the team. So I never really felt like I belonged. So I was always saying, okay, I got to have something ready just in case this don't work. I'm going to work real hard right now. But if this don't work, I'm going to be able to do this. So I was the one always going to all the community events, networking with the people. And that has been a part of my personality that I've just developed over the years. So I might not know how to do it when you ask me, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm gonna find, I'm always gonna have an option. So just even with my latest transition, my I was working with the Sparks and my position was eliminated. I was like, okay, next. So I started me a consulting company, got me 2 quick little contracts, gonna be working on doing some speaking. So it's just really about just staying involved, but everything is in alignment with the things that I love. So next to the sport, empowering young ladies, helping with transition. Those are all the things that I love. So if I stay in my wheelhouse, I'm gonna be good.
Exactly.
And I also believe there's I was excited when I saw you were coming on the show because you're so versatile. And I just want to hop on that because a lot of people, like you say, they stay in the box. Even myself, I thought, I was a great GM. I feel I should have done more. You know what I'm saying? And you realize that when you see other people and when I don't have time to step out now and take a good look. But the other thing I love about you, and this is why, I really want to say, I won't say this about a lot of people, but I will say this about you, why you're so needed at the league. Even just watching you with your daughter, there are a lot more players in the league now that have kids and how to navigate that and what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? And how to balance the two, because playing in the league, it's a lot. It's a lot of time away. I see Dearica Hamby does a great job. I see her push her. It's a lot more women than when we played. A lot of women didn't have kids, and now they do. And I think that's another area that I'm happy with the league going to pay all their money. They setting up programs so they can have a 2-bedroom, but still, it'd be nice to have someone to be to how you say, to interact with them and show them and make it a smoother transition, because you're amazing. I love watching you with your daughter.
Penny, thank you so much. And if you would like to borrow her, you can have her for like.
But I love kids. This is my niece.
Penny loves back. She's gonna eat you out of house and home. Yes, absolutely. But becoming a mother too has been one of the most important and most, I would quit anything if it conflicted with me being a mother to her, because I understand how hard it is as a young Black girl growing up in this world. And if she goes through half the stuff I went through, because I was tall, I was skinny, I got a gap, like it was terrible. And I just learned how to embrace all those things. And she's already so far ahead of me. She'd be like, Mommy, I want to wear my hair natural. And I was like, you want to do that? I wear weaves and wigs and stuff. I don't know how to do no natural hair, but
just let it go.
She's so confident because I feel like I've put her in a position where she meets amazing people. She knows what success looks like. She knows her mama ain't just out in the streets kicking it. She knows I'm working, I'm impacting lives. She understands how important that is. So that, of all the things I do, is the one job that I embrace the most, the highest level.
Wonderful. There's a comment about an article on you in Sports Illustrated. Have not seen that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So Onyx, they recognized Black women in sports that were doing great things. So they talked about the WPBA and how I was a servant and how important I thought it was that the women have some assistance in their transition and how nobody had done that. And,
that's awesome.
Talking about why. And I shared the same story with them that I shared with you. There was a need. And I've never been one to just see something needing to be done and just sit there and watch, I'll figure it out. Let's go get it done.
Well, you talk about things that need to be done. Here's a big question for you. You want to take on a new project? Get more fans in the stands. Tay Anderson wants to know, what do you think about that?
Tay, I think that's a great question. And I think one of the things that the league has failed to do, because women's basketball in college has an amazing following, but how do you not make a connection between their colleges and when they go to the pros? I think that's one of the things that we could look at, because back when I was working for the Aces, we had like 2 or 3 girls that were from Notre Dame. So we did a Notre Dame night, and you get people to come in and support at that level. But there are ways that you have to be creative because we have an amazing fan base.
Sure.
But
absolutely.
Even with the games that are on TV, you don't always know when the games are on TV.
No,
and even though this might not have been the best format, but when we played in the beginning, you knew that game was coming on Saturday on ABC. It was going to be on Lifetime on whatever day. Like, it was set. I think there needs to be better efforts in the marketing to make sure people know when the games are, and then to make sure that, like I said, a better connection so people can continue to support the players as they transition from college into the pros.
Right. Did you ever try out for the USA national team?
You know, it's so funny. I got that call my sophomore year at Furman. And so I guess it was supposed to happen like in March or whatever. 4 games into my season, I'm leading the league and scoring and steals and everything else. Tore my rotator cuff.
Oh,
out for the rest of the season. Missed it and never got a call back.
Ouch. This is one of those personal ones. You ready? We're going. It's unscripted.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm with you.
Are you married to or dating NBA player Jermaine Jones?
Not married to, was dating.
Was dating. All right. There's one. There it is.
They went back. They must have been on my social media looking at my
page. They're all over the page. They know. Our fans don't play. They know everything.
That was a long time ago, too.
All right. We had the question. And I just want to give a shout out to Tina Boo. I like that name. I think I might put my name up next week as Penny Boo.
Penny Boo.
Penny Boo.
We have you would not dive in on the top 5 of all time, so that's fine.
Thank you.
But this is the other question that everybody that comes on has to figure out. Do you have a GOAT? Is there such a thing? We have had people who have absolutely refused to answer this question as well. But if you have one, we want to know it.
Like, all of these people could qualify, because think about the different times that they played. Cheryl didn't get a chance to play in the WNBA. And if she was in that league during her prime,
what?
Who's going to do something with her? Who going to check me, boo? Nobody. Like, Cheryl would be, I mean, like, everybody in their times have been amazing in different capacities. So it's like, this is hard too. And Maya left so early. Just imagine what would have happened. And I praise her for the work that she's doing, and it's definitely well needed. So I'm not saying that, but imagine had she been able to complete her athletic
career. Very few players who did what Maya did. Maya competed for a championship every year she was in the league.
Every year.
And she won one every
other year.
And the thing I used to admire about her is, you know, and all those players that were up there, Maya always was very coachable. You know what I'm saying?
And humble.
Criticism, humble. I mean, but she competed for a championship every year. Not too many players can say they did that.
Yes. And like, think about that. Every year, and won it every other year.
And won it every other year. Thank God for that. So the Sparks of the last
yeah, y'all snuck one in there for sure.
Candace Parker celebrating a 36th birthday today. Your thoughts? She's all over the media.
I know,
doing her thing in sports as a broadcaster, but also as a player overall.
No, I'm truly a fan of the glass ceiling breakers. You know, like Candace has done amazing things. She left LA and ended up going to win a championship in Chicago. Like, the work that she's doing, she's a mom. And then the work on TV, like, she's setting a new standard. Because you look at it, and there are a lot of women that are, you know, doing commentating. Penny mentioned, like, for the summer, I'm going to be trying to be on somebody's TV too. But you look at the opportunity, but Candace is raising the bar. Like, she's up there with the big boys. And so that just always gives people an opportunity to see what it looks like and then mimic their journey or their vision after that. So I'm excited about the work that she's doing, and it just opens up more doors for those coming behind her.
Amen.
Yes.
Is your daughter into basketball? Victoria?
What? Listen, she crazy like her mama. She be in here watching the game, screaming at the TV. I don't cry, but she cries at the games when they lose. She plays. You know, she's an avid fan. She loves to play. She recently told me, because we were about to relocate back to Atlanta, she was like, I got to get me a trainer. She told me she wants to go to South Carolina and play for Dawn. I was like, hey, so let me go and tell you Dawn ain't with the shits. Oh, excuse me. Dawn ain't with the mess. You're going to have to be great to play with Dawn. So if you want to do that, you got to be committed and you're going to work. And it's not going to be me. I ain't calling Dawn not one time. She need to see you. If you got to be that good for her to come get you herself. But Morgan has decided she wants to play at South Carolina for Dawn Staley.
There's another member of our show that is not here tonight because she got something better to do.
Mm-hmm. I would say the playoffs are a bit of a pass.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we gave her a little pass. Can you talk a little bit about Teresa Weatherspoon? You were just talking about how women have made an impact. And here we have one of our own from Certified Unscripted who is doing what very, very few women have an opportunity to do. And that's coach at the NBA level.
Yeah, I watched her she was on somebody's podcast, Knuckleheads, and just talked about everything she said. Before she said it, I knew it, just because your example is through your presence and your actions. So her words just solidified what I already knew, but she was always like a top tier competitor. You weren't going to find nobody that was going to compete harder than her all day, every day. You'd be like, dang, give me like 2 seconds. But she was nonstop. And you just always had to be aware whenever she was around. But those are the personalities that, like Penny was mentioning, the younger players need to understand who these women are.
Exactly.
And so like Teaspoon, I love that she has an opportunity in the NBA. But I also want the women of the WNBA to understand, the current women to understand who she is beyond that shot at Houston, that last minute shot. Because I'm sure everybody sees that last second shot. Do you know who she is? Do you see who she was on and off the court? And I'm a huge fan of hers as well. That's why I say I can't pick, because I'm a fan of people's work ethics.
Yeah.
And those first couple of years, it was only 8 teams. So we were 96. They talking about 144. We were 96, and everybody had something, because you wouldn't make it to that level if you didn't.
Right.
So I think that's why it was a travesty I thought it was a travesty for Spoon not to be, what was that, the top 25 or whatever they had. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, who's
making these decisions? I don't understand.
That's why I said former players should have been voting, because
absolutely
media would be voting for their favorites. Former players, we're gonna vote for who it should be. Yeah. And which leads me to my point now about these younger players. They don't know the history, and they just don't, and I think that should be. I used to give my players a test when they come. They'll tell you at training camp, I'd be like, hey, here's a test about the WNBA. Know something about it.
And let me tell you, one of my most heartbreaking moments when I was living in Atlanta. I was a part of like the organization that helped bring it to Atlanta. And then I used to be around the team a lot. And so they drafted a young lady, and at her post-draft interview, they asked her a question, and she was like, I really don't know anything about the WNBA. I've never seen a game. And my heart sunk, because I was like, how? Like, you in the first round, and you're admitting you don't even know anything about the league you're about to go into. And I would dare to say that she's not the only one. And it's just crazy, because I think a lot of times maybe the players are taking it for granted. But the reality is they don't know a world. The young ladies who are coming now, they don't know a world without the W.
Exactly.
I did an event, and one of the young ladies who was a rookie last year, I spoke to, I played in 97, and her face, she was like, I was born in 1997.
Woo!
So she does, and I was like, hey, man, you ain't have to go all there. Didn't nobody ask you that.
Yeah, nobody asked that.
Her reality is she doesn't know a world without. At the same time, she didn't know players either.
Wow.
That's so funny you say that, because I've always said that, and it just made me think one time too, like some of these people that be coming for a job. I remember one time we had a young lady that was interviewing at the Sparks for the sports information job. You guys are gonna laugh at this, and it was funny. I walked into the room, somebody else was interviewing her, and it was funny. It was a big Candace Parker life-size poster sitting in the corner, and when we asked what you said, we asked, even if you're gonna work in the office, know something. And we asked, can you name any players on the team? And she stuttered over that question like forever. It was a wrap for me. You weren't going to get the job, especially when I mean,
Candace sitting right there.
Of Candace Parker right here. When she laughed, I would be honest with you. We laughed. I go, was she? I was like, was she crazy? I mean, it's supposed to. You know, and there was a cutout. You know, the cutouts that we used to have. But
yeah,
you have to know something about the league. That's another thing too, where people got to come into this league and understand that it's not about you. It's like what you say, Rushia. I'm a WNBA fan. That's why I'm still engaged. And when people call, I write them back or do whatever. It's like now we're sitting in these leadership positions, and I definitely challenge all the women that are in leadership position. Your dollars should be going to women's sports. Yes, you do have an obligation to fill that gap, to give us. Why buy one thing of? I'm just using the Lakers as an example. I love them too. I'm with Johnny Bucks, so I'm getting Lakers. But why buy one advertisement when you can get 10 with us? If you're sitting in a leadership position, yeah, you have an obligation too. Give us some of your residual dollars to keep these women in sports, whether it's basketball, soccer, field hockey, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
You have an obligation to give us your dollars. Don't think, because I'm here, I gotta give it to them. Step out on that leaf, on that limb, and give women in sports your money, your sponsorship. You know,
it's so necessary, and that's another way that we grow the brand.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to interject real quick. Rush, we was at the thing with Ray Pond, the women. Don't you think that was nicely done? Show the history of a sport. It was absolutely. I was really proud. I said every like in the beginning of the season, they need to at least be given a overview or a history. It ain't got to be no 5-hour course, but something where they can see. You got to know where you've been to know where you're going. And to me, that's a league responsibility. And I don't know if you do that, but at least get a glimpse. I even watched when we went to that thing with Ray Pond. I was even educated, on some things where you got to know. They didn't just wake up and like, okay, a league is here. There was a lot of work, sweat, sacrifice. They need to know and be aware. They come in like and like I said, the talent is phenomenal, but at least get a glimpse of the history so you can show some appreciation.
Absolutely.
To me, that's the thing,
Absolutely.
And it was funny too, because not to cut you off, Vera, and one of the most amazing things I saw, it was interesting one time, and we speak about the history. We were playing somewhere. I forget where it was. It was way back. Lisa was on the team. And it was interesting because this is who was in the gym at the time. Ann Myers, Lisa Leslie, and Candace Parker, right? And it was funny because, Candace had just came to the team. And as a GM, I would sit back and I would watch certain things. And I saw the most remarkable thing that Candace was just coming in, and Candace is great, of course, but they were running past Ann Myers and Lisa Leslie to go to Candace. And I'm saying to myself, when you get home, your family or somebody going to tell you that, did you see these two legendary, undeniable people? And this is what we're saying about know your history. You know what I'm saying? And I was sitting there with the GM going, wow, now that would have been priceless to get all three of their autographs. Like, like if they knew.
Amazing, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's rare that those three are going to be in the same room at the same time, That's three generations of great basketball.
Our fans do a great job of just kind of keeping us abreast of what's going on out there. We need to say a prayer for number 8 ranked Aaliyah Gales. She was shot 10 times at that Las Vegas party. So appreciate people. Didn't mean to change the mood, but I did want to get some of these comments in. Wow. And then Shoni Schimmel, there's some news for you, who was charged with assault by strangulation of her dating partner. Anybody know why her career was cut short?
I think Shoni's last stint was when she was here in Vegas. She came to training camp. Yeah. In 2000, was it 18 or 19? Whichever year it was, she came and she was in training camp and she wasn't in shape. I think she might have had the body type where she would have had to put in a little more work, but she wasn't in shape. And even though they were willing to give her a chance, she couldn't keep up.
Yeah. Let me ask a question. Was she from like North Dakota or South Dakota?
She was a Native American. Yeah. I'm not sure where.
Okay. I just want to make sure that not to gossip, but she coached over there, and I sort of heard some things that I don't know. Maybe she, we all have our stuff that we battle with, so maybe there was some stuff going on underneath. the foundation, but I heard that she got kicked out. You know, other the coach don't get kicked out, but it was something beyond what she was going through. Something was going on personally, I guess. So that's what I heard. And I was making sure it was her.
So little pieces of information that's out there. There was a comment here about it being disappointed when young girls play ball in the WNBA championship city and still don't go to the games. Had high school teammates who never attended a Storm game. And so and someone else made a comment of just the lack of connectivity on the WNBA's part. Doesn't do a good job of retaining people and making that connection. Yes, ma'am, Penny.
But I also want to say, like, in the WNBA's defense, because I can go on both sides, and I'm going to go on this side. They can't do everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know it's there. So I can tell you right now, I used to tell people, once you come through the door, I already know you're coming back. But why not experience the WNBA game? Because the WNBA is still one entity, and I think they made some steps, and I do believe they got some other stuff. But if you're in town with a team, I mean, you know it, you see it because they do have commercial. Go to a game and support the women. So that's why I say some people gotta own that. And then college, the WNBA, they're gonna do oh my God. I remember Rushia and Ruth, you know this. The WNBA used to throw a great party.
Man.
Like the Final Four.
Yes.
Just all WNBA.
Never missed one.
I never went. I said, I see you guys all the time. In the past, remember it used to be the biggest party, and that's
I was there. I was there. I was giving it to them. Yeah, absolutely.
You had to be in the WNBA. I'm like, we see each other all the time. I'm not coming. That's not a party. Put some money out to get those fans back in that's going to connect with you, you know? And people they used to be the best parties ever, didn't they all?
Yes,
they were.
Sure.
They absolutely were. Absolutely.
And Penny, you brought up a great point as far as like ownership within other organizations. Like as a coach, any team that I'm coaching, girls team, we going to a WNBA game. How do you not advance the game? Because how do you know one of your players doesn't have that aspiration? And that's the way that we strive to help them get into that position. They got to see it. So there's no way you should be a coach and not taking your players to a WNBA.
Exactly.
Especially when most teams will give you the tickets for almost free just to get you there, you know?
Exactly.
You know, the community relations thing. That's why I say college coaches, your job don't stop there. And trust me, all the college coaches can probably go at me now, but your job don't end there. You know, you have a more of an obligation than the ones up here because we can get rid of them. That when you're preparing those people that are playing for you, a part of your education is a part of educating them to be great women and great athletes. Is, hey, here's the next level. Let's discuss this. Let's talk about that. Bring in some former players. And I will take my hat off to them that a lot of their benches do got WNBA players sitting on their bench. Yes. So I definitely give them 2 thumbs up for that. But now they got to educate the players.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, Penny, I'm glad you said that because I've shared with Ruthie a vision that I have for us to have a greater impact on the women's game. So when I call you, just say, okay, Rushia.
You know, I always be like, when you go.
I'm just saying, it's going to be amazing. We got to find some money for some people to support it, but it's going to be great when we put it together because it gives us.
You know, if Rushia's behind it, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen for sure.
Alpha Alexander is a great person to make a connection with. Know her from Black Women in Sport Foundation. She wants to know, how will you put forth the history? Let's develop something that will keep the history alive. So sometimes you have legends. Alpha Alexander, a legend in her own right, actually, coming out of, I want to say Philadelphia. Alpha, are you still in Philly? I think you're in Philly. Anyway, great connection. Black Women in Sport Foundation as well. So there are some people historically who have been doing this women's basketball support thing forever. So that's someone that we need to look up to and know. Yeah. Alpha, glad you joined the show today. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Alpha.
And guess what?
Friend me on Facebook because I will hit you up when it's time to get.
Oh yeah, you need to know Alpha.
I will hit you up.
A legendary, I want to say tennis great. I'm post 50. That's my excuse for everything that I forgot. I used to know as a broadcaster, I knew all of this stuff, right? And after a while, over the years, you're like, I don't remember.
Yeah, that's how we get.
I know she played. Yeah, you know the faces or you know the names, but you can't remember all the facts and data. But I do know she's a legend in her own right, particularly when it comes to supporting women's hoops. Speaking of legends, we got one. Her name is Rita Haywood.
Rita,
a boss lady.
Up, ladies?
Yeah, Rita, I got a question for you. Hold on,
Sure.
I see it. I saw it somewhere. I'll find it. Anyway, it's about that time. We got to get ready to, sing the goodbye song. But any final thoughts? And great getting Rushia for us, Rita. Great get. That was a surprise for me. I was like, we got who? Yeah, that's awesome.
No, thank you guys so much for allowing me to come on and talk hoops with you. It's so, like I mentioned before, like this sisterhood is something unlike anything else I have in my life, and I'm appreciative of all the relationships that I was able to build. I know there's still work to do, and we've got, like that last question about the history and how you build the game. This project, I think, is going to help impact that. So I'll be calling you all.
Let me just speak something to that. I think I know a part of why we got together as Certified Unscripted was and is to keep the history of the game alive. Like we said, basketball was here long before the WNBA came on, and there was television and everything else. So part of our goal has been to bring on former players that played, say, before the WNBA. So people like Nancy Lieberman have committed to coming on. People like Ann Myers, I have their commitment to come on. So we're getting players that have been there. The Yolanda Griffins who played in the league, but people like, where is she? What is she doing? So when you speak about history, we're keeping the spirit of the game alive by the people that we bring on and the conversations that we have in relationship to the league overall, and that's a part of our goal, and I think we're doing a great job so far. So
yeah, of course we are.
I just wanted to say that Alpha Alexander, absolutely contact us, and we'd love to talk to you about some of the things we have planned for our show, as well as the parties, Penny.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Well, when we open up our venue.
LA, here we come.
I already told Johnny Buzz all WNBA players can come for free. So, Rushia,
and we gotta have a special ticket for our loyal fans, because we can keep log of all these people coming on Facebook and on YouTube, and we're on like 5 platforms now. So I got somebody hounding me. I think it was Tina Boo talking about get to all the questions. I was like, you mean all 197 of them right now?
Really? I want to say this, and Rushia, whatever you're doing, we have a spectacular venue, Johnny Bus.
Yes.
It's an amazing venue that we it's about to open, and all WNBA players, you guys are grandfathered in. So when you guys want to come, if there's tickets available, it's going to be our next great thing. And Rushia, I just want to say, hey, keep doing amazing things. You guys, to make the league great, there's people like Rushia behind the scenes that's pushing that you may never see. You might have never heard of her, but everybody in the league knows her. Rushia, just keep being great. You great, girl. I love you, man. Keep being great.
I appreciate y'all so much, Penny. And I'm always down for a good party. So please let me know when it's time. I'm wearing sneakers because my knees, I can't even wear heels no more. I have my sneakers.
It's gonna be an all sneaker party because I gotta break it down. I can't do it in heels.
Yes.
I appreciate you ladies so much for continuing to push the league and have these conversations, because they're very necessary. So your fan base is very lucky to be able to hear from legends like you.
Thank you.
Well, anytime, hey, and we were gonna do our takeaway. Don't forget about that, Reed. I mean, Vera, don't forget about our takeaway.
A takeaway?
At the end, you always got to do a takeaway. The takeaway from this for me.
I know, I will. I was trying to use this last. I wanted to, as a matter of fact, that's what I was about to do. My last segue, so we could take away a thought or whatever, is because a couple people have mentioned this about the whole LeBron comment about, why do these ladies have to stay in for 4 years? Just a quick touch on that, and then your final thoughts, and then we got to go because I go to bed at 9 o'clock.
I do think Penny spoke to it earlier, the fact that we need those 4 years of education so you have your degree, because we're not making the money that the men are making. Our opportunities beyond the game are not the same as theirs, so we have to be resourceful and understand that our transition will come. Not if, but when it comes, you have to be prepared to do that next thing. So that education actually puts them in a position to be successful.
Mm-hmm. And then now the game is unchanged. And my advice to everybody out there, when I say the game's unchanged, we're being able to sell your likeness. Some of these players that came into the draft, I'm going to tell you right now, to be successful, you got to have a good support system. if I had been talking to some of these players, I would have been like, hey, wait a minute. Some of you guys had great college careers and were on a high and had another year. You could have made more money with your likeness before you came back in here. Because now, before you came to the league, that's another thing that people got to think about now. And this is why it's so important that you go get a supporting cast. They're not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that would be my advice to people. Where now it's a different game. I would have told the 108 that came in. I would have said to at least 100, stay in college and
exactly
get money for your likeness.
Yep. Yeah. Ray Pond was in the house tonight. Tamika Dixon was in the house tonight.
Ray, we gotta have Ray on here because Ray. She wasn't on the court, but she did a lot for women's basketball.
She's a legend. She's a Nike legend.
Absolutely. She was a part of that. Like in the beginning, she helped everything happen so people would know. From the '96 Olympics, like we had these conversations, all the work, like you said, Penny, people behind the scenes that are making things go. Yes. Ray was at the forefront, and so we've had conversations. We got to figure out how to get Ray in the Hall of Fame.
There we go.
Her contributions have been amazing.
And see, people, and I'm not to cut it off. I definitely want to say this though, because I know one time and they probably going to kill me, and somebody probably going to kill me for saying this, right?
Don't say that.
I'm gonna say it. No, I'm gonna say it because it was my little way of saying any WNBA people when they called me for tickets, I gave them to them because I said you were the reason we were here. One day, a ticket person in my office said, "Penny, you just gave Ann Donovan 10 tickets." I go, "Do you know what Ann Donovan's done for the women's game?"
All right, okay.
I said, so I don't care about those 10. That's like, it's 10 tickets, but do you know what she's done for our game? Right. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I was giving 10 tickets to everybody, but I'm like, no. I mean, championship trophy. If it wasn't for her, the WNBA wouldn't be here, whether she played or not. It's about keeping us on that track to get this league. And whenever the former WNBA players, any of them take, when they call me, you want to come to the game? Here's 4 tickets. Yeah. Because they help. This is why this league is here, because of these people.
Rest in peace, Ann Donovan. Rest in peace. Good. That was good to know. You all right, Penny? I don't care what they say about you. You all right.
Well, when you're good, they all come for you. So
they gotta say something.
I'm really good. Yeah, when I was good, they come for you. So I always took that as a compliment. If they coming for you, you're doing something right.
Final thought, Rita. Final thought, and we out.
I'm waiting for the party. Ray Pond, I'm definitely going to get in touch with you. Thank you so much, Rushia, for just sharing everything that you've done and for really being a chameleon, because you've touched everybody. You blend in and you get in there, you maneuver and you do your thing and you make it better for the next that are coming along. So we appreciate you. We appreciate everyone that's out there that tunes in every Tuesday. Lisa Donnell, I see you're on here.
Yes, Lisa Donnell.
So, we just appreciate solid people that we've known for years that support us and know that we are going to keep the history and the spirit of the game alive with your help. And as I said last week, if you have any comments or suggestions in terms of things that you'd like to see on our program, definitely hit me up, contact us, and we'll make it happen because that's what we do.
All right.
Make things happen.
As we say every week, when it comes to women's hoops, we not new to this. We true to this. We are certified. Until next week. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.